Hello, today we have with us Professor Malhar Kulkarni, a senior professor in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at IIT Bombay. He is also an investigator of CEL for Indian Sciences and Technology for Sanskrit and the CFILT lab. He is known for his renowned contributions to multifaceted areas in Indian knowledge systems, Sanskrit grammar, and application of computational methods to historical Indian texts. I thank him for taking out time to agreeing for this interview and sharing his thoughts with us on this occasion. Sir, you have been providing linguistic insights to students of CFILT for years. How did your journey with CFILT begin?
Thank you, Saurabh. My journey with CFILT began around 2006 when Professor Pushpak Bhattacharyya. It is very difficult to say late Professor Pushpak Bhattacharyya, but still we have to accept it and say, well, late Professor Pushpak Bhattacharyya invited me to a particular workshop on shallow parsing conducted in the CFILT. And starting 2008, when we began developing Sanskrit WordNet, that time onwards we started collaborating actively on formal terms in terms of the projects that we were carrying on. And then of course we developed Corpora for Marathi in various domains. We also developed the dependency tree bank for Marathi, and in this particular course we were continuously developing Sanskrit WordNet and part of the Indo WordNet. And then we also developed, on the basis of the WordNets that we have created, an important tool for language teaching and learning called ShabdaMitra. And we developed Hindi ShabdaMitra, Marathi ShabdaMitra, and Sanskrit ShabdaMitra in-house here in IIT Bombay. And that is how we developed these tools. We also developed tools like textual history tool and also the Sans GPT and so on, the ShabdaBot and so on, along with these other tools. I feel really fortunate to have got an opportunity to associate myself with Professor Bhattacharya, an association which gave me immense research potential and happiness, and also academic rigor and very good insights as far as computational linguistics is concerned, as far as linguistics is concerned. And that is how the journey began and continued.
Sir, CFILT follows the message, linguistic is the eye and computation the body. How do you see this shaping the lab's research?
Very true. Linguistics is the eye and the computation is the body. Very true. In fact, this is Professor Bhattacharya's legacy that prompted him to investigate deeper into the linguistic issues before approaching them computational. That placed him in a unique position where he was able to have a dialogue, a fruitful dialogue with linguists, that he was able to locate the actual gaps, the actual needs as far as the language processing is concerned, and accordingly he could develop his tools, and also accordingly he would have a larger picture ready with him as to the research gap that a particular need would, particular tool would fulfill, and how it would help also justify the linguistic insight. I think that is very crucial, and that took the Indian language scenario into consideration, which is very crucial. Because they have a huge diversity, at least 23 officially recognized languages plus more than 1,000 other tongues being spoken by people for the purpose of communication. So if the technology has to reach this huge repertoire of languages as far as Indian scenario is concerned, I think this empathy, this insight, and this feeling towards linguistics, coupling with, entwining with the computation, is extremely important. That is what made Professor Bhattacharya a unique scholar.
Today, many computational models rely on big domain. How do you see linguistics still playing a crucial role in this era of data-driven knowledge?
I think the linguistic knowledge, even in this era, is extremely valuable, crucial, contributive. Even though the large language models seem to function independent of it. Because there are efforts where these insights, linguistic insights, being injected into some of the programs, and those gave rise to good results. And that way, probably the huge problem of explainability of AI, perhaps, could be addressed.
What advice would you give to young researchers who are trying to integrate linguistic knowledge in their computational modeling?
The computational tools, the computational technology, as we have witnessed, is ever evolving and developing. And new tools, more effective tools, keep coming on the scene. However, if you have a solid base as far as the linguistics is concerned, if you have an intuitive knowledge about the language, the feeling for the language, plus the scientific knowledge of how the language functions, I mean, that will stand you in good stead when the technology keeps on developing. Otherwise, if you simply run after the developed model, probably you won't be able to see a larger picture, a longer insight, probably. And also, maybe the directions which need to be addressed with clarity probably would be wanting. So, my advice and strong advice to young researchers in general is to base themselves strongly in linguistics and obviously develop their models alongside and have the whole picture.
Thank you, sir, for sharing all these insights with us. We would also like to know your vision for CFILT, especially for Sanskrit focused pieces and also for linguistics driven NLP engine.
So, Sanskrit is a language for India, which is very well spread out, which has got a lot of connections with multiple languages, and so could be considered as a key in addressing several issues, if not all. And therefore, doing more research on Sanskrit language would be very fruitful. Also, deriving insights from the language itself and also the grammatical model of Sanskrit done by Panini, so that would also be extremely useful. However, with a note of caution that when we adopt any model developed for any one particular language, it needs to be accepted with a clear amount of conscious decisions regarding the local situations, the local languages. But definitely there is an indigenous model that is available, and Indian languages should avail themselves of, should not miss utilizing this extraordinary repertoire which is even praised by the modern linguists. And as far as the linguistics in general is concerned, also there are various fields that are developing and addressing key linguistic challenges and key linguistic issues. Now, with the sad demise of our Professor Pushpak Bhattacharyya, the baton is already passed to the next generation whom Professor Bhattacharya trained. And it is these young researchers, young scholars who should take a leaf out of Professor Bhattacharya's book and follow in his footsteps closely and combine the insights of linguistics in their computational work, which I'm very sure will prove very successful. I wish them all every success, and I also wish our lab great future ahead. And I also, in this hour, express my gratitude to the late Professor Bhattacharya with a mournful, with a sorrowful heart. Thank you very much.